On this episode, we look at a road diet on Lincoln Avenue in Urbana, Illinois. Then we learn about the bike plan for Urbana. Finally, we talk with the secretary of Champaign County Bikes. Stay tuned. We're in Urbana, Illinois, talking with Charlie Smythe, who's on the Urbana City Council. What's this street we're on?
This is Lincoln Avenue. A couple of years ago, we did a road diet to this street, much to the consternation of the neighborhood.
Now, what is a road diet? What was this street like before you worked on it?
This was a 4-lane street, 2 lanes in each direction with no signals. We had we had 3-way and 4-way stop signs on either end. And we have a great number of pedestrians and basically bicyclists coming from the residential area of Urbana that work and go to school here at the university. So this is a major point of contention, was trying to get across this street. So by doing a road diet, we reduced the 4 lanes down to 3, where the 3rd lane is the center turn lane. We were hoping to be able to do some bicycle lanes along here, but because of the number of fraternities and sororities on one side that needed delivery access, we came up with a bit of a compromise. So on one side, you'll see an 8-foot delivery lane. On the other side, we added a multi-use path.
And for a pedestrian trying to cross the street, how much difference does it make to have one travel lane each direction versus 2 each direction?
Right, okay, so, and in addition to that, we added stoplights on either end of this about 6-block area, creating some timing gaps, which really helped. And then we put in 3 marked crosswalks so that pedestrians can, and we reduced the number of bus stops along here to basically 1 on each side of the road. So a combination of things were done so that now a pedestrian can cross halfway into the median area if need be, and then the rest of the way when traffic clears. Technically, traffic's supposed to stop for them. They're marked, they're enforced, so that's been pretty good. But what you find now, instead of waiting maybe up to 5 minutes to try to get across, typically 30 seconds to a minute is the most you'd ever wait on any day, even during the busiest part of the day. I cross the street 4 times a day. It's much, much better now than it has been the previous 15 years that I've been crossing it. It's really been very, very effective.
And how have public attitudes and perceptions changed from when you were first proposing this to when it was happening to now that it's been here for a while?
Yeah. Most of the neighborhood couldn't believe that we could go from a 4-lane situation to 3 lanes and actually improve the flow of traffic through here. We had a very good set of computer modeling studies done by the Regional Planning Commission that helped with the engineering design for all of this. They modeled the buses and the traffic and everything else and showed how the turn lane would work. And what actually happens is that the turn lane really relieves the traffic. Because what was happening is people in those center lanes going each direction were trying to turn left or right, depending on which way they were. Mostly trying to turn left, I should say, and that was really holding up traffic. And so we have much smoother traffic flow. Because the turners get out of the way. We have delivery vehicles out of the way, and we have gaps created by the lights so that people can get across the streets. And so the total combination has been extremely effective. And I won a 6-pack of beer from one constituent who bet me that it wouldn't ever work. And he's agreed that this has been a substantial improvement to this set of street, to this section of the street. What we'd like to do now, frankly, I think is what we really need to do is extend this northward for maybe 2 or 3 intersections. It's been that successful.
Have you been able to do road diets in other parts of town, or are you looking towards doing them?
We hope to do another major road diet on Main Street, where actually we have a 3 to 4 lane cross section for more than 2 miles from the edge of town all the way into downtown. It's basically perfect for this same sort of thing, where we have a 4-lane section that becomes very busy right through the middle of downtown. And so everybody goes whizzing through downtown where they should be going slower. It's very dangerous for the pedestrians. It's very dangerous for anybody trying to bicycle through there. And in fact, it goes through 2 intersections where we have the most accidents in the cities. And so Main Street will probably be our next one. We've done a little bit of work with trying to develop some complete streets in our designs. And so towards the outer edges of town, we have better cross sections. We actually just put in another very small section of road diet on Philo Road, where we have a business district where we're trying to encourage pedestrians and bicyclists to come to shop in that area as well, or to have that area be a destination.
And as someone on the city council, do you find that pedestrian and bicycle issues are raised frequently by your constituents, and how well does the city respond?
Well, it's been very interesting. 3.5 years ago, we had a change in mayor, and 6 of the 7 council members were new. And it was sort of fortuitous because our mayor is somebody who likes to walk everywhere. We had 2 council members who primarily biked everywhere, one of whom didn't even own a car, and a third who was increasingly using a bicycle. 4th council member is very fit and into fitness, and is in general, she rollerblades, bikes, and walks a great deal. So we had this critical mass of people interested in bike and pedestrian issues and improving the city. And through the leadership of Brandon Bowersox, another council member, we developed a citywide goal of becoming a bicycle-friendly community.
How important is it to the quality of life in a city like this to be bicycle and pedestrian friendly?
The city of Urbana already is already very heavily pedestrian and bicycle. Well, it has a very large population that uses bikes and walks to begin with. Being a university community with a very large residential section right up against the university, it's very convenient to go back and forth by bike or just to walk. It's part of what makes this a very popular neighborhood. The West Urbana neighborhood here that we're standing up against is considered one of the top 10 neighborhoods in the country by the American Planning Association. It's won a couple of awards for that. We're making another one of the efforts that the council is making is to help preserve this part of the neighborhood. And you have typical town gown situations that arise. You've got a lot of students living in with faculty and staff and the residents, and we're working through those issues, I think, pretty successfully. We're trying to preserve the housing stock in here, but one of the things we discovered was that we have about twice the national average, if not more, of bicyclists coming out of Urbana, and so we need to accommodate them better. Likewise, we have a lot of pedestrians through here that are walking to and from their jobs, either downtown or here on campus.
We're in Urbana, Illinois, talking with Brandon Bowersox, who's with the Urbana City Council. You have a bike plan for the city.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that get started?
Well, it was about 3 years ago when a new city council and mayor got elected, and I was one of those new members. For years, the past city councils had asked, can we have bike lanes and what's our plan? And there were concerns. Past city attorneys were worried about liability problems, and for a number of reasons it had never happened. But with a new group of people, we sat down and talked about what our goals for the city would be together. All but one person on city council had newly been elected, and bicycling was something that I, along with a number of my colleagues, Charlie Smythe and others, pushed for, and we made one of the top 10 city goals is to get Urbana bicycling is our city goal. And one of the ways then that we chose to implement that was to make a bike master plan for the city that would be part of our sort of capital improvement plan. And so we worked with our regional planning commission as consultants and with the League of Illinois Bicyclists as sub-consultants, and our city engineering staff and a huge group from the community came out to public input sessions to make a citywide plan of bike facilities every half mile in every direction so that you could safely bike from any point to any other point in Urbana, and it had to be continuous and connected and safe. So we're now implementing the plan, and this street behind us is one that was built before that plan, and I hoped we could have gotten bike lanes on it, but there just wasn't the room. But another road diet just like this on Philo Road does have bike lanes now because of the Bike Master Plan. And a lot more projects are coming next spring with a big striping and signing project citywide to lay down bike lanes.
Plan's going to be sort of a roadmap for you going well into the future. How many years do you figure before it's substantially complete?
Well, within the first 5 years, actually, we will have a safe bike connection every half mile in every direction. You should be able to get to a street that's safe and is signed and is part of the network. There are some ambitious plans so that's all happening in the 0 to 5 year sort of time frame very quickly, which is great. And more than 90% of the projects are already funded. We've already identified the funding stream for them. There's a few projects such as some larger trails and some more expensive off-street side paths that are costly because of easement and pouring a lot of concrete. A couple projects we're still trying to find the funding for and writing grant applications and trying to prioritize them. But the vast majority, I think more than 90% of our projects already have the funding lined up, and we already know what year things are going to be constructed. And so the plan really within these first 5 years will really come together, and people will see a lot. And then there's a 5 to 10 year set of projects and a 10 to 15 year set of projects that are a little bit more undefined. Projects like a regional bike trail that would connect our town to Danville, about a 15-mile trail on an old piece of railroad bed that was a short line railroad that'll never have tracks on it again, but it could be a great corridor for biking and walking and equestrian use. And so those are some of the long-range projects that we hope come together many years. We still have to buy the corridor from the rail company. But the short-term projects will really create that network so that everybody should have an opportunity to safely bike.
And did your bike plan get into some of the other things bicyclists need, like bike parking, bike education, and those sorts of things? Are they part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. The plan has an education component. It has parking recommendations, and the next step, actually, at our meeting in January, we're going to talk more about updating our zoning ordinance to have requirements of our bike parking be a little more modern with loops and the kind of racks that are safe racks for bikes and not wheel benders. And look at where exactly bike parking is required. It's required for commercial developments and apartments over a certain size, but we're going to just take a look and see if there might be a couple more places that bike parking is needed and should be required by developers and by new developments. So yeah, parking is part of our plan. Education is part of our plan, and the education so far has focused a lot around grade school students and around the university area here. A bike light giveaway just happened a few blocks from here a couple Mondays ago. There were 2 Mondays where we set up a big tent at a busy intersection where cyclists cross Lincoln Avenue here, and we gave away bike lights to folks who didn't have lights, front and back, and explained the law. And police were out telling them the rules of the road and telling them they had to, use the lights and stop at signals and how to use arm signals. And it was great. I think it was about 800 bike lights that we gave away on those 2 nights. So all of those pieces are coming together with the city and the engineers and the bike community. The Champaign County Bikes is a very active organization, and the bike co-op that's refurbishing bikes. So all these different groups working together have really made a lot happen.
What sort of mechanism do you have in place to get input from the bicycle and pedestrian community on a regular basis?
One of the things we created, actually, even before we created the Bike Master Plan, was an advisory commission. And we called it the Bicyclist and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. And it's composed of about 10 members. One, our city engineer, Jennifer Selby, who is a PE, a licensed professional engineer, to design these streets, and she designed Lincoln Avenue here behind us with the pedestrian crossings and the bike lanes up at Illinois a few blocks from here. So she's on the commission. I get to chair the commission. Gary Zico's a member, and I hope you'll get to talk to him here too. And a number of people from the community who are cyclists, walking advocates, people from our school district and our park district, and from the University of Illinois, because part of the university is in Urbana. And so we try to really coordinate and review projects and hear from the public and strategize. And the commission is now about a year and a half old, and the bike master plan was kind of one of our first big undertakings, and now we're talking a lot more about things like updating zoning ordinances and doing more education and coordinating with all the good safe routes to school stuff that's happening.
And as elected official, I'm sure you hear from your constituents about a lot of issues. Do they bring up pedestrian and bicycle issues regularly? I mean, is that something people seem to care about?
Yeah, people are really passionate about it in Urbana. We have a really high share of people walking and biking, and I represent a neighborhood, the boundary is about 2 blocks from here, where a lot of people are walking or biking to get to campus. On this side of Lincoln Avenue is campus, and so a lot of people are crossing this street to get to campus, to get to work or school or class, and feel very strongly about it. A lot of people take mass transit too. We have a very active bus system here, the Mass Transit District. So I do hear from people a lot about it. This street, when it was going to be converted into this 3-lane road diet sort of cross-section, I heard from many, many people who were concerned as drivers that it wouldn't help, and walkers who were concerned about it. But in the end, adding stoplights and adding all these pedestrian crossings, now I hear from people that they love it and they're so glad we did it. Philo Road is another road that we just, about a month ago, finished a road diet on that has bike lanes and now a 3-lane cross-section rather than four busy lanes, and has much better bus stops and pedestrian crossings. If you're at one store on one side of the street, you have to be able to walk across and get to the other side of the street to go to the other store or the pharmacy. So I heard from people at first, some confused people didn't know how to use it or didn't understand how the bike lane worked or would there be trouble. And so we did a lot of education and answered a lot of questions and have tried to explain it to people. And now I hear great compliments about how great it is to drive on and how easy it is to get around there still, and how now when you want to turn left, you can get in a left turn lane. People like these 3-lane cross sections a lot, actually, because it keeps the turning traffic from stopping everybody else, and you don't sort of get piled up behind people that are waiting to turn. So I hear positive things about it, and people like being able to cross and like the better bus shelters, and that's great.
So what's your long-term vision for the city as these plans are implemented and so on? What are you hoping to accomplish?
That's a great question. My long-term vision for Urbana is that people have choice, that we provide the infrastructure and the education and just sort of that the culture of the streets and of traffic is one where it's clearly safe to walk or to bike or to use mass transit or to ride in a car. I just want people to have the full range of choices, so that as gas prices or energy availability changes, as we run out of oil, or as people make the decision to get healthier, for any of those reasons, that people at least have a choice to, in their daily, destinations, decide, okay, it's just as easy for me to go today by bike as it is for me to go today in the car, or to walk to where I need to get, or to bus to where I need to get. So, we don't want to force anybody to do anything. We want to give people a full set of possibilities and make sure that all those different modes can interact safely. That, when cars and pedestrians and bicyclists all come together at an intersection or a crossing, or on a sidewalk like this where there's lots of people biking and walking together on the sidewalk which we widened, that we can bring people together safely and that all those modes can coexist.
We're in Urbana, Illinois, talking with Gary Seco, who's Secretary of Champaign County Bikes. What is Champaign County Bikes?
Well, Champaign County Bikes is a group that was formed, I guess, about 2.5 years ago now, and its goal is to make Champaign County more bicycle friendly or bicyclist friendly. Try to make it the most bicycle friendly county in the Midwest is sort of our stated goal. And so we've been doing a number of things, working with the city governments and other institutions to improve facilities for bicycling. We also do a number of events, bike rodeos for children, for people who want to learn more about how to handle bikes and safe biking, and generally to make bicycling promoted for recreation and for transportation in Champaign County, particularly in Champaign-Urbana, where we are here in the center of the county.
What are some of the issues you deal with, either as a state DOT, county government, city government? What are some of the issues you're dealing with?
Well, one of the things is that it's bicycling is still not considered quite as a normal way of getting around, and so making bicyclists more visible to the community and realizing, for example, that streets should be set up and designed so that they would be complete streets and so that they will handle cars and pedestrians and bicyclists. And so it's only recently, through our efforts and some others groups' efforts, that we are now seeing bike lanes showing up on streets in Champaign and Urbana and on the campus of the University of Illinois. And so that's sort of a major turning point. And we have a bicycle map. I don't know if you want to ask me specifically about that, but that's been one of the issues, and I think we're now starting to get more and more people interested in bicycling, and with the prices of gas is increasing, and just making it part of the infrastructure of the community.
And you developed a bike map of the cities. What was the philosophy of going in to create the map?
Well, the idea of the map is to have a sort of a copy here. You can sort of see at least the cover of it. And the idea is the map is to show residents that what are the best ways to get around town on a bicycle. And it's interesting because I've lived here for about close to 30 years, maybe 28 years, and I've used a bicycle as my major means of transportation. But the map, even for me, has shown me new ways to get around, and it shows the streets that have, some of them do have bicycle lanes, but most of them are just the streets that will provide less traffic and more or less direct routes to get from one part of the town to the other. They also include on them indications of the schools, the libraries, the supermarkets, and so it's really easy to see, I want to get to that supermarket or to that school, and you can see where you need to go and to plan a route. So that's one of the purposes of the bicycle map, and we've been handing those out, and we've gotten pretty good response to them.
Once you got better streets with the complete streets, once you have know which streets are most pleasant to ride on and where the destinations are with your map, what other things do bicyclists need?
Well, we need parking. I mean, that's a major thing too. Urbana has recently implemented a regulation which requires a certain amount of bicycle parking for commercial establishments, and I believe for multi-unit housing as well, buildings that are coming in. So we need parking. There really is no covered parking in town, which would be nice to have when it's raining, and ways to protect bicycles, and even on campus for the most part. And so that leads to vandalism, and things are left out. There's not a whole lot of security, and so parking is a major concern as well. And this is a problem too for students, particularly on campus and residence halls, where to put their bikes. The bicycles are not permitted inside the residence rooms on campus. Other universities do and have facilities actually inside their rooms or bike storage rooms in their dormitories, but we don't have that yet. So that's something that we need to be working on as well. So being able to get around on the streets in a safe way, and also to be able to store your bike and keep it secure when you're not using it is important.
Now, what mechanisms are there for bicyclists to give input and to public officials on what it is that you need and what your concerns are?
Oh, well, there's been lots of opportunities. There's been a number in the establishment of the Urbana Bicycle Master Plan and also the Transportation Plan in Champaign. There were a lot of meetings, focus groups, and opportunities for the community to get together and provide input on where they wanted to see bicycling and improvements for pedestrian facilities as well. So that has happened. There's also continuing possibilities with roughly monthly meetings in Urbana of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and those are open. They're also broadcast on the Urbana Public Television, and people can come to those and provide input to those as well. This afternoon, for example, Champaign is looking at redesigning an intersection in the south of campus on First Street in Windsor, and there's going to be an input session there as well. So there are lots of opportunities for citizens who are interested in to provide input into how things are moving in terms of transportation for bicyclists and pedestrians.
Now, there's someone in Urbana who, hasn't ridden a bike since they were a kid and thinking maybe it's transportation choice they'd like to get back into now. What are the opportunities for someone, just getting back into biking now?
Well, one opportunity, you need to get a bicycle, and if they have a bicycle that needs to be fixed up, we have in Urbana the Bike Project, which has started a couple years ago, and they are helping people to fix up their bicycles. And there are also, as I mentioned, the Bike Rodeo, which is geared more to children, but we've had some adults show up as well too, and I've been trying to get some of adults that I know who haven't been on bikes or have never learned to ride a bike and show them how to ride a bike. So there are some possibilities. Get in touch with Champaign County Bikes.org. We have a website, and we can get you going and try to find a place for you to find a bicycle, get your bike fixed up, and to learn about how to use it safely.
Visit us on the internet at www.pedestrians.org.